In this country, there is a grossly inequitable distribution of wealth, resources, and power, which leads to major gaps between rich and poor and a reduced quality of life for the majority. For the past 40 years, Community Shares has been dedicated to making progressive social change, addressing our problems at the system and institutional level, and involving the people most affected by the problems and helping to solve them through collective action. Tonight we celebrate the 2025 Circle of Change Award winners, people also dedicated to making change and who are working in their own way to help create just and caring communities. Through their activism, leadership, and quest for justice, tonight's honorees are an inspiration to us all. The Campaign for Change Award honors a recent campaign that is working in pursuit of social change, includes grassroots support, and is making a significant impact on a constituency or the community at large. This year's Campaign for Change Award goes to Public Schools Strong Tennessee for their work to stop private vouchers from defunding public education in favor of private, making education less accessible and killing jobs in our state. Public Schools Strong Tennessee is a coalition of parents, students, educators, and community members who are committed to honest, equitable, and fully funded public schools. Although we want to specifically acknowledge their work against school vouchers, they continue to fight for public schools in a myriad of ways.
Public funds for public schools! Public funds for public schools!
You just have good common sense. Because truly that's all it takes to understand that any voucher bill is bad for public education and it's bad for our communities.
As a mother deeply invested in the future of our children's education, I am greatly concerned about Governor Lee's school voucher plan in Tennessee. This proposal not only jeopardizes the stability of our public education system, but it also threatens to divert essential funding away from our neighborhood schools, where our children's learning and growth are nurtured. It is a scheme to divert resources that exacerbate existing inequalities. This is not a future we want for our children in our state. Voucher programs also have a troubling history of failing to deliver promised results, leaving many families without the educational opportunities they deserve. The evidence from other states with voucher programs is condemning. Students have shown that these programs can lead to significant drops in student achievement, equal to missing more than 1/3 of a year of classroom learning.
However, there are those over there in that building who do not believe in a Tennessee for all. They believe in a Tennessee for the few. The voucher scam that they currently are rushing through those chambers shows that they believe that we, the taxpayers of Tennessee, should pay for exclusive private schools instead of investing in the public schools that serve the whole community. They are willing to take $141 million of our tax money and send that to private institutions which are not accountable to the public.
It's important to understand that when kids do not attend a fully resourced school, they are not getting the support and education they need and have a right to. This scares me because it allows for a future where teens like me are not prepared for adulthood, and it encourages these underfunded learning environments to continue functioning the way they are.
The resources in East Knoxville are different from resources in West Knoxville.
Putting money into public education is the best investment. Students that walk into a public classroom have equality with every other student.
It's no secret that our education system is severely underfunded. Teachers are paid almost $10,000 below the already too low national average. We spend $4,000 less per pupil than the national average. We barely spend more per student in high poverty districts than we do in low poverty districts. And all of this can no longer be tolerated.
The public school system was created for the purpose of educating all the citizens of our nation and our state, not just certain ones, not just the ones with means.
We are proud to stand with Public Schools Strong Tennessee, our 2025 Campaign for Change. The Institution for Change Award goes to a business or institution that demonstrates socially conscious practices in the community. The 2025 award goes to The Bottom. The Bottom was named after the first black neighborhood in Knoxville that was demolished by urban renewal and institutionalized racism in the 1950s. After research found resounding feelings of displacement and loss of place amongst Knoxville's black elders and youth, the idea of The Bottom began to take form. The Bottom stands as a collective working to reclaim and reimagine black space in Knoxville.
Hi, my name is Khalil White, and I am the Director of Operations here at The Bottom. We are a Black-owned bookstore and nonprofit community art space based here in East Knoxville. So just letting you guys know about the work that we do here. The Bottom is a nonprofit cultural organization serving our community through our Black Affirming Bookstore and arts programming. Rooted in place justice, we stand to build community, celebrate culture, and engage the creativity of Black people in Knoxville. We do our work through creative events, community projects, and ongoing programming, share resources, and physical space. Our current programs include Lit Kids, Arts and Movement, Sew It, Sell It, Ceramics at the Bottom, and the Community Podcast Program. In our space, you can find our bookshop, tea room, community podcast studio, community art studio, and the Alandrias Williams Reading and Research Room. At the Bottom, community leaders, artists, educators, students, culture workers, activists, and entrepreneurs blend culture, history, politics, and social issues in strategic and engaging ways. We strive to cultivate a sense of belonging, togetherness, and safety for Black people in Knoxville and beyond. What keeps us hopeful that positive change is still possible is knowing that there are countless others who are just as committed to the fight for collective liberation. In a world that often feels consumed by negativity, it's easy to become overwhelmed by the constant stream of bad news. But when we step back and connect with incredible people around us, those who are tirelessly working for justice, equality, and transformation, it reignites our belief in change. We draw strength from seeing the work being done, both by our community and by other organizations that are pushing forth with unwavering determination. It's this sense of collective effort, the knowledge that we're not alone in this fight, that reminds us that change is possible. The work may be difficult, but it is necessary. And it's this shared commitment that keeps the flame of hope alive. We would love to see Appalachia becoming a thriving hub for creatives, where artists are deeply connected throughout the region. Just as American pop culture often looks at cities like New York and California for creative inspiration, I envision our region, especially the South, becoming a central place of influence in the larger cultural landscape. A key change we like to see is guaranteed income for artists in our region. This includes empowering artistic minds to pursue their passions without financial burden, increase sentiments of well-being and value for artists, and provide more sources of creative problem solving for social issues. I hope that creators are not only able to connect with each other, but also feel affirmed and empowered to shape their own future on their terms. We hope our region will be greatly recognized as a vibrant, culturally rich people, where people are excited to visit, engage with local history, and share their talents. The first change we would like to see in our world is corporations becoming obsolete, and that we don't have to rely on them to live comfortably in our daily lives. All they care about is profit, and they don't care about us as they claim to. And what plays a major role in the world being divided? Second change we would like to see is people stop consuming all the nonsensical media and read a goddamn book. The social media is brainwashing the new generation with garbage and sickening. Third is humans stop killing each other over material gains or supremacy or racism. It's unbecoming of us as species if we focus on the goal of advancement instead of strife. We could have been exploring the universe long ago. Humans think that we are the only sentient beings in existence, but that may not be true. And then finally, let us tell you why we feel passionate about the need for change. Change is reflective of something that is growing and maturing. Change allows us to look at where we have come from and ensure that we make the necessary steps to grow stronger and better as a society. A society that doesn't want to change, in my eyes, is a society on the brink of death. So many people put in the work and imagine a society that would change for the greater good. They wanted change to keep the next generations moving forward. We are passionate about change because we have seen its power invigorate our community and breathe new life into it. We are passionate about change because we refuse to go backwards. Thank you so much.
Because the Bottom is a multi-use space for fostering change, building community, celebrating culture, engaging the creativity of Black people, sharing resources, and providing a sense of Black safety, we are proud to name them the 2025 Institution for Change. The Heart of Change Award was envisioned as an award to honor those who are often behind the scenes, working to strengthen social change organizations and causes. The 2025 Heart of Change goes to Leanne Swarm for her dedication to organizations like Tennesseans for Alternatives to the Death Penalty, the Tennessee Healthcare Campaign, the Oak Ridge Environmental Peace Alliance, and of course Community Shares, where she served on the board and countless committees.
When I first moved to Knoxville, which is over 30 years ago now, I first got involved with what we called then Tennessee Coalition Against State Killing. I went to the Friends meeting, somebody there was involved, and I thought, boy, I'm definitely behind that, and I started working with that. And we had a group locally that was active, which doesn't exist anymore. That later turned into what's now the Tennesseans to abolish the death penalty. Is that it? Tennesseans to abolish the death penalty. So I was active in that. My parents were both doctors. My mother was a pediatrician who worked in clinics for low-income people in New Jersey. So I think I was sort of raised to be interested and concerned about healthcare. So I also started working with the Tennessee Healthcare Campaign. Those were a couple of my primary focuses early on. Now, my major focus is certainly OREPA, the Oak Ridge Environmental Peace Alliance, and of course Community Shares. So I do a lot of work with both of those groups now. You may have noticed that these are pretty big issues that we're not going to solve tomorrow. I'm thinking about why I've done the things that I do. Some things, when the death penalty was just so obviously wrong to me, the fact that the state would come in and deliberately kill somebody just made me want to work on that, even though maybe we've made a little progress. Some states have definitely made progress, but it's not something we've solved quickly. But the overall urgency and the strong import of the moral imperative of it is what has made me work on issues, even if I'm not seeing that we're going to solve them tomorrow. And that's certainly true of the nuclear weapons issue that OREPA works on. And the other thing is that I think we can never know for sure what kind of impact we have. We may have impact that we're not aware of, and maybe we've prevented something more horrible from happening, but it still makes me feel like I need to keep working on those issues, even if they're not resolved instantly. It seems like mostly what I've done is go to a huge number of meetings, and I've been on the boards of several organizations. Oh, I left out Jubilee Community Arts. I was on their board for a while. So partly that's just what I was asked to do, but I also like that. I like that arena of working with other people to think about what organizations should be doing and how they operate. I like having a job to do. Typically at these Community Shares dinners, I've been out in the lobby, either letting people in or sorting out the auction items. I like having a job to do. I like having a job to do as opposed to just having to hang out and socialize. I guess that's the introvert in me. Well, I think the thing that most brings me hope is all of you people in this room here. Obviously, I'm videotaping this ahead of time, but I have a pretty good idea of some of the folks who will be there, and even those of you who I don't know, I can guess some things about you. And to be around this many interested, concerned people who have ideas about things to do, even though they may be completely different. That's the kind of thing that brings me hope. I think if we can all keep on working together and see the numerous tasks at hand, that brings me hope. To think that I'm not in alone. We have a ton of people to work together with.
We resurrected the Heart of Change Award, which was retired in 2013, for our 40th anniversary in order to honor Leanne Swarm for her tireless dedication to community shares and many of our member groups with both her time and financial support. We are so happy to name her our 2025 Heart of Change. The Danny Mayfield Champion of Change Award is presented to leaders in our community who have championed issues whose goal is to change conditions that create injustice. This year's award goes to June Ralston for 50 years of working for social justice, especially in the areas of labor justice, women's rights, and equality.
My father worked in a factory, in a large industrial bakery, and he was sent home a couple of weeks with no pay because he supposedly was talking pro-union at a filling station in town. And so that left an impression on me about what kind of control companies had over workers to affect their income and stuff, and even their free speech. So that kind of planted a seed. And then I spent 2 years in Italy in the early 70s on a program with the World Student Christian Federation, and I worked with Waldensians and Methodists in northern Italy outside of Milano who had a night school for young workers. And the union movement and the labor movement in Italy was very large and very active at that time. And so the first demonstration I went to was of metal workers. There would be the equivalent of our auto workers. And I think it was 100,000 people in a piazza in Milano. And so my 2 years there kind of cemented things, glued things in terms of being committed to workers' rights and economic justice for people. And then I came out of college and the women's movement was just beginning. It had already started probably, but I got involved in rights for women students when I was at Maryville College. We were locked in the dorms at night at 11 o'clock, but the men could go anywhere they wanted to, do anything they wanted to. And so we organized a campaign to get keys to the dormitories for upper class women, for women in their junior and senior years. And so that was the beginning of my commitment of women's rights. I was a woman, so I could see that we were being treated differently from men, and we didn't have the same rights as they did. So that's what got me involved in that. I came to Knoxville to work with Jim Sessions and Bill Troy in Southern Appalachian Ministry. And then I went to Highlander and I did their labor education program. I did GED classes for Amalgamated Clothing and Textile Workers Union. And then I got involved with the Coal Employment Project that worked with women coal miners. So I worked with women coal miners on a variety of things, but health and safety issues, a pregnancy study, a pregnancy handbook for women coal miners who had pregnancies while they were working in the mines, and also parental leave. I think the most important campaign that I ever worked on was that campaign with women coal miners. They wanted a family leave in the United Mine Workers contract for themselves and for their fellow male workers. So they started working on that in the early 80s. Really, they started talking about it in the late 70s. And so we put together a campaign to work on it seriously and to try and get it in the UMWA's National Coal Bituminous Coal Agreement. And eventually that became what is now the Family and Medical Leave Act. I think that we have to defend workers' rights in general, and we have to make sure that everybody is invited to the table to fight for workers' rights. Women, people of color, immigrants, everybody, LGBTQ people. We have to live up to the motto that the mine workers have, that an injury to one is an injury to all. So it's important for the community to step up and say, we don't want people to be treated this way. So it's standing in solidarity with them, shoulder to shoulder. There's some real exciting work that our Jobs with Justice East Tennessee chapter is doing now, and that is we did some important work and are continuing it on putting together coalitions of workers and community groups, and particularly groups from communities of color and economically disadvantaged communities, to put in for federal funding that brought unions and those communities together to get funding for apprenticeship readiness programs in clean energy.
When June was told about this award, she mentioned how honored she was to accept an award named after Danny Mayfield. I know that he would be as proud as we are to give her this award. Please help us say thank you to our 2025 Danny Mayfield Champion of Change, June Ralston. Tonight's honorees demonstrate that creating social change requires a combination of vision, strategy, generosity, and perseverance. They remind us that actions speak louder than words, and that it is through action that we make lasting change. Community Shares wants to say a huge thank you to them for their work and commitment to making a better world for everyone. We are living in a time where civil rights are dismantled and ignored. Violence against immigrants, trans people, people of color, women, and the LGBT community is becoming commonplace. Many folks lack adequate health care. Our public education system is being broken and dismantled, and a growing acceptance of government-sponsored violence has become part of our society. One of the great things about the Circle of Change Awards is the reminder that we aren't alone in our struggles. We have the great leadership we've seen here, and we have each other. I'm reminded of the great song by Pete Seeger. Step by step, the longest march can be won, can be won. Many stones can form an arch, singly none, singly none. And by union what we will can be accomplished still. Drops of water turn a mill, singly none, singly none. Together we can make a difference. Together we will make a difference. Together we do make a difference.